All right. Welcome to the Arrivals Podcast. I'm your host, Merelise Wilson, and I have my wonderful friend, Davis Higgle, with me today.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Davis. I'm so happy you're here. It's so good to see you remotely, if not in person. Either way, I'll take.
It's lovely to see your beautiful face, Merelise.
Well, I'm so happy you're here. You are, I believe, my first birth story that has an unplanned C-section.
Okay,
So I'm very
great.
excited to hear your perspective on it. Your first was an unplanned C-section and then your second wasn't. So it'll be interesting to hear the difference between the two, what it was like and what your experience was like.
Definitely. And I am, so that all the guests know, I am
Yes.
also 39 weeks pregnant and have just completed my e-check-in for my surgery to have my third C-section.
Yes. Yep. Very pregnant, although you can't tell at all. I like looking at you
Thank you.
just on the camera. Your face does not look pregnant at all.
If I stood up, you could tell.
You could tell in my face when I was pregnant. It was very, very obvious. But
I politely
anyways,
disagree.
well, let's jump in. Let's talk about Robert's birth, your first son.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do feel like I should tell them about me
Yes,
before
please.
I jump in. So
Please.
my name is Davis, and Merelise and I are best friends from college. I have very fond memories of our dorm room experience together, and we were roommates later on. My favorite memory is that her mom used to come to the dorms and pick up our laundry and do it for us and then bring
Yes.
it back. The first time I thought that my laundry had been stolen. The reason that Merelise and I are doing this remotely today is because I live in Augusta, Georgia. And of course, at 39 weeks pregnant, am not allowed to travel.
Mhm.
And I lived in Atlanta for a long time after college, but moved back home about 6 years ago, I guess.
Gosh, it's been that long already.
I know, it's crazy. But I have a very large family who I'm very close with, and we all
Mhm.
live in Augusta. I am one of 4 girls, which is very unique and different. And what's even
Yes.
more unique and different is that we all live within like a 4-block radius of each other.
It's such a cool family.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the McKnight girls. They all look very similar. You have trademark curly hair.
We do.
Um,
It's true.
yes.
Yes.
And I mean, we'll talk about this more as you tell your birth stories too, but out of 4 girls, how many grand boys are there? You guys all had boys for a while. Now there are a couple girls in there, but
Right. So there are 7 boys now
wow. Wow.
and 2 girls, and I am having a girl too. So at the end of next week, we will have 3 girls. This is
3 girls
grandchild
and
number
7 boys.
10,
Wow.
which is
That's
insane.
exciting. That is
It
crazy.
is. So my oldest son, Robert, is 4. He just turned 4 a couple months ago. And my pregnancy with Robert, I was blessed that it was relatively easy. I did not know that at the time going through it, but hearing stories from other people now, I had it pretty damn good. Ooh, am
Mhm.
I allowed to say that?
Absolutely.
Great.
Did you listen to Lexi's
Um,
episode?
I did. I did.
She
It's true.
dropped a
Okay.
couple F-bombs.
Okay. Okay. So really the biggest symptom that I had in my first trimester is just that I was extremely tired.
Mm.
Like I would get home from work, I would get into the bed, I would take a nap. My husband, Nathan, who is lovely, would bring me my dinner in the bed. I would wake up, I would eat it, I would go back to sleep whole
Yeah.
first trimester. And so really like feel very blessed that that was really the hardest part.
Mhm.
Obviously there were other things too, sciatic nerve pain,
Mhm.
just like the effects of getting bigger. But I was also really blessed in that I have an OB who I was extremely close with. And she's this little woman who she reminds me of someone from like an Eastern European type culture.
Uh-huh.
She's very direct. She's very like, this is what I think. But she
Opinionated in a good
also
way.
opinionated and direct, but also never pushed me, right? Like gave me the facts. And one thing that's really different about the practice that I go to in Augusta and the practice that a lot of our friends go to in Atlanta is you just see your doctor all the
Mhm.
time, right? So
Oh, that's
y'all
so nice.
rotate around, but every single appointment I saw my doctor, and unless I had, like, gone into labor in the middle of the night or when she was out of town, she was gonna deliver my baby.
That is so nice.
It
Continuity of care
is.
is so important.
I was able to build, like, a really strong relationship with her
Mhm.
and talk through all my concerns with her
That's so
beforehand.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it really helped. I get why other practices are the way that they are too,
In big
but
cities, yeah.
yeah, that's how it is here.
So
So go
you
ahead.
mentioned that specifically you were able to kind of like talk about your concerns and stuff. And within those conversations, did you talk about what you were hoping your birth would be like? Did she talk about, potential ways it could go?
We definitely talked about what to look out for. Like,
Mhm.
if you go into labor, this is what it will feel like. These are reasons to come to the hospital. I think when you say like birth plan, I'm
Mhm.
using quotation marks with my hands. My birth plan was that I trusted Dr. Serrano and I was going to
Mhm.
do what she said to do. And I didn't want to have a C-section.
Yeah.
That was the plan.
Yeah.
And I think because I was so comfortable with her, I didn't have a lot of questions or concerns going into it.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing that I forgot to say, this was during COVID.
Mhm.
So my husband was not allowed to come to any of my
Mm.
appointments with me.
Yeah.
He was allowed to come to the sonograms, but that was
Mhm.
it. And
That's
so the
nice.
first time he met Dr. Serrano was the day that Robert was born.
Wow.
Yeah. So the plan was just Dr. Serrano's gonna be there, she's gonna tell me what to do.
Mhm.
The only thing I felt strongly about at the time was I didn't want to get induced too early.
Mhm. Do you remember
I
why
don't
you felt that way?
I don't. I must have read something or, like, from talking to all of our like, you and all of our friends,
Mhm.
that must have been why.
Mhm.
My mom, with all 4 of us, was 2 weeks late.
Yeah, it was just different back then. I was
Yeah.
3 weeks late. They just really were a lot it was yeah, they let you go a lot longer back in the day.
The approach was way different.
Mhm.
So, I remember talking with her a lot about how I didn't want to induce too early on.
Yeah.
But at my 40-week appointment, I had
Mhm.
still not dilated or progressed in any way. And so we scheduled my induction, and it was
Mhm.
for, like, the next week. So I think I was 41 weeks,
Mhm.
and I went in at night, and I really like the notes app on my phone, and as I was thinking about this, Mare, I looked up my notes from the folder I have for Robert,
Yeah.
and I, like, have a timeline log of what happened. And
I love that.
so I checked in at 7, and at 8, they gave me the Cervidil,
Mhm.
and in my little notes, it says, "They gave me an IV. I don't like IVs."
Same.
And so they gave me Cervidil that night
Mhm.
and told me to go to sleep,
Mhm.
which was not happening.
Yeah, so
Absolutely
what
not.
what was the Cervidil experience like for you? Was it, something they inserted?
They inserted it, and I remember it being uncomfortable,
Mhm.
but once it was in, it was fine.
Yeah.
I just I remember them saying, "Get some rest. This is your gonna be your last opportunity." And it was like the night before Christmas.
Yeah.
I could not sleep. I watched probably 2 seasons of Friends. I reread Harry Potter. I made lists of all the things that I was gonna do after the baby came. I cleared out, like, my inbox. I unsubscribed from junk mail.
Oh, love it.
Mm. Yeah.
Digital nesting.
I was. But so in my little timeline log, my it says that my contractions started about 2 AM, and for me, the contractions were relatively mild. It just felt like I had to use the bathroom really, really bad.
Mm.
That was it,
Mhm.
and they continued into the morning, and at, like, about 10, I I guess I got the epidural. I don't have all this written down,
Yeah.
so this is a little hazier. I got the epidural, and at that point, I was, like, 3 centimeters dilated.
Do you remember why you decided to get the epidural then?
I don't. I don't. I do remember thinking that the needle was very big, and I guess another part of my birth plan was that I did plan to have an epidural,
Mhm. Yep.
but So they gave me the epidural, but at that point, I was at 3 centimeters and I was kind of, moving along,
Do you remember, were
but
you in, like, a lot of pain, or was it still manageable at that point?
it was still manageable.
Okay.
I'm wondering if my memory is hazy here, but let's just keep going. So at that point, it still was manageable.
Mhm.
Again, it just felt like I had to go to the bathroom really,
Yeah.
really bad. And I had seen Doctor Serrano a couple of times. She had come in her morning rounds, and then she had gone to do appointments, and then she came back. That's another great thing about our hospital is that the where you have your appointment and the where you give birth are really close together.
Oh, that's so nice.
It's really nice. So, after I got to 3 centimeters, things stopped progressing
Mhm.
completely
Wow.
and actually started to move in the opposite direction.
And had they started Pitocin or anything at that point, or were they just kinda letting you ha
Yes.
not okay, so you'd started Pitocin.
They started they had started Pitocin earlier that morning.
Okay.
And so at this point, it was probably mid-morning, like 10:30.
Mhm.
I had seen Doctor Toronto a few times, and she was concerned
Mhm.
because it was starting to go in the opposite direction, and instead of getting more dilated, I was getting less dilated.
Wow.
And so they brought in a portable sonogram machine and did a sonogram on my stomach to try to figure
Mhm.
out what was going on. And as it turns out, Robert's head was stuck in my
Mhm.
pelvis. And it's just always stood out to me how cool our bodies are, that my
Mhm.
body recognized that he was not gonna be able to get out in the position that he
Mhm.
was in and started to
Yeah.
shut labor down.
Yeah.
And I had this really great nurse, her name was Gail, and
Mhm.
she had on, like, teal blue scrubs and teal blue eyeshadow
Ooh, I
up to
love
her
that.
eyebrows. She was fantastic. She had the
Yes.
best curly hair.
Ugh.
She was older, and you could
Uh-huh.
tell that she'd been doing it for a really long time, like, she was a
Yeah.
vet, and her and Doctor Serrano spoke,
Mhm.
and they said, "Okay, we're gonna try to move you around to some different positions to
Mhm.
see if we can get him to move."
Yep.
And so, there were stirrups involved. I was on my side at one point. At one point, I was on my stomach, but not actually laying on my stomach because I was
Uh-huh.
being supported by all these pillows and stirrups
Yes.
and balls and things.
Yeah.
And my younger sister, who's a nurse, and my
Mhm.
mom were with me and my husband in the room at this point.
That's nice that they would let them in even though
Yeah.
it was COVID.
Yeah, it was really nice because I was obviously nervous, and so it was
Mhm.
nice to have my mom there to comfort me, and it was nice to have my younger sister there because she at least understood some of the lingo even though she's not an L&D nurse.
Right.
But so for about an hour and a half, they had me in different positions trying to get him to move.
Mhm.
And at about noon, they came back with the portable sonogram machine and did another sonogram, and he had not moved. And at that point, they really felt like they had exhausted all the options that were available to us to get
Mhm.
him unstuck, if you will, and Dr. Serrano said, "Okay, it's time. We're gonna do a C-section."
Mhm.
And I remember saying, "But Dr. Serrano, you told me that I didn't wanna do that." And my husband said, "No, is there another option?"
Yeah.
And she said, "There is really not another option to get the baby safely out.
Mm.
So we need to do a C-section, and I'm gonna let them come in to prepare you for surgery, and you're gonna come back to surgery in about 20 minutes."
Mm. Wow.
And I said, "Okay." And I was really scared.
Mhm.
So again, I'm so thankful that my mom and my sister were there
Mhm.
because when Doctor Serrano left, I immediately burst into tears,
Of course.
and my younger sister got my makeup bag, and she said, "Nope, we're not gonna do this. I'm gonna give you a makeover." And she, in the 20 minutes that we had to wait, gave me a makeover so that my makeup was completely done,
Oh.
and they brought in all the scrub stuff for Nathan to
Mhm.
put on, and he, like, was making me laugh too, putting the scrub stuff on.
Mhm.
I do think he was just as scared as I was, if not more, just because
Yeah.
we did not know anything about
No.
C-sections.
Yeah. Because none of your sisters had had one.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And none of my friends had either. I really
Yeah.
didn't know. I didn't know that I knew people who had had them.
Right.
After it happened, I learned a lot more, obviously.
Mhm.
But yeah, so at about 12:30, they
Mhm.
came to get me and they
Mhm.
wheeled me back to surgery, and my husband wasn't allowed to come with me. So I was, like, being wheeled in the bed by myself, and we got into the room, and all the different members of the care team introduced themselves, which was nice because it
Yeah.
kind of made me not focus so much on the amount of very fancy medical equipment in the room. And we have a really good friend from college who I actually grew up with, who's a nurse
Mm. Mhm.
anesthetist.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that happened when I found out I had a C-section. My mom texted her,
Mhm.
and she was not my anesthesiologist, but came in the room to be
Mm.
with me.
That's so nice.
It meant so much. Oh.
Mhm.
And so when Nathan wasn't there for that initial period, however long it was, she was there.
Oh.
And that really made me feel a lot better because I was still really nervous. I was still really emotional. And so she, like, took a bunch of pictures of me. We took a bunch of selfies. And then Nathan came in and they did the surgery. I was awake the whole time.
Mhm.
They had a sheet up so I couldn't see anything. Nathan did, like, walk by where they were doing the surgery,
Mhm.
and I believe that I was cut open at that point.
Uh-huh.
He has never, though, confirmed or denied that theory. But yeah, there was a sheet up, and he stood next to me with Melissa,
Mhm.
and we talked the whole
Mhm.
time, which was very helpful as a distraction technique
Yeah.
to help me not be so emotional.
Yeah. Did the doctor talk you through, like, this I'm making the first cut, I'm anything like that?
She probably did. That
Mhm.
sounds right. I
Yeah.
don't remember. I cannot underscore how just emotional I was, and I it was all that I could do just to keep from crying,
Of
and so
course.
I was
Yeah.
really focusing more on Melissa and Nathan, and I remember she told me when he came out,
Mhm.
and she said, "He's here," and they brought him around, and Nathan held him so that we
Oh.
could, like, see him for the first time,
Yeah.
and then Nathan went with him, and
Mhm.
they had a table on the other side of the room where they did all the stats
The
and the
APGAR score.
tests.
Mhm.
Yes, the APGAR score, he cut the cord,
Mm.
all that stuff while
Mhm.
they kinda sewed me up,
Yeah.
and then when the baby left the room to go to the nursery, Nathan went with the baby,
Mhm.
and I stayed to get sewed up, and then they took me to recovery,
Uh-huh.
and I don't like it the way that I feel when I take a lot of medicine, right? So, like, if I take cold medicine for a cold, it
Mhm.
really messes with my brain, I don't like it, and I think that the
The anesthesia.
anesthesia, that's the right word. It really made me feel really groggy, and so I
Yeah.
got to recovery and immediately fell asleep, and they told me I would be in there for about an hour. I don't know how long I had been asleep when Nathan came and they brought the baby to me. And we did, like, skin on skin, but I was really out of it,
Yeah.
and they were, like, trying to teach me how to breastfeed,
Uh-huh.
and I remember looking at Nathan and saying, "Nathan, do not take your hands off of this baby, I'm worried I'm gonna drop him."
Did you feel faint or just out of it?
Just out of it.
Yeah.
Not faint, and not like I was gonna throw up or anything,
Mhm.
just out of it.
Yeah.
And so I was
I
in there
wonder if
for
that
an
was
hour.
also a function of the pain meds too, not just the
Yeah,
anesthesia, but the yeah.
I think it was. I think it was the combination of both.
Mhm.
And again, like, I feel like me personally, I'm just more impacted
You're more
by
sensitive to it.
that than other people.
Mhm.
I don't think at any point anybody was unsafe. I'm glad that Nathan was there with me, and there were also 2 nurses in the room.
Yeah.
So, there was nothing unsafe about it. I do just remember very distinctly, though, feeling like I don't think I can do this right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then they took me back to my room, and obviously, Nathan and the baby came with us.
Mhm.
And after I got out of recovery, I really felt more like myself mentally.
Mhm.
Physically, there was still a lot of pain and kind of figuring things out, but I was able to enjoy the afternoon with my
Yeah.
baby,
Yeah.
and my whole family came and got to meet him, so that was good. And yeah, I think when you have a C-section, you stay in the hospital for a little bit longer. And so I had some really, really talented nurses who taught me a lot of things about how to move in a way that aided my recovery and didn't hinder it.
Mhm.
And after 2 nights in the hospital, we came home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple questions. With the going back to the surgery, did they ever and I've wondered this before, did they give you the option to, like, keep the baby in the room with you while you were kind of getting, sewed
Sewn
up?
up.
I've always wondered why they take the baby away, if there's nothing wrong. Yeah.
I I remember that it was I remember them talking about how it was important that Nathan stayed with the baby.
Yeah, they always have the dad go with the baby.
Right, and I think that there was some reason they didn't want him in the room while they sewed me up, but I
Hmm.
do not remember what that was.
Yeah.
I have another OB appointment on Tuesday, and I can ask some of these follow-up
Yeah,
questions.
ask and let me know. I'm
I
curious,
will, yeah.
and I do feel like I've seen but I feel like you have to ask, but I think I've seen some other C-section stories where, the baby stays, like, even, on the mom's chest while she's getting sewed up or something,
Mhm.
but it definitely is not as common. I feel like you definitely hear more often about them taking the baby away, and I was just
Yeah.
wondering why, like, if there's nothing,
I'll definitely
emergent.
I'll ask. And I also remember, though, at the beginning, they don't want anyone else in the room at the very beginning, and I think that's because if you're in any type of distress, they wanna,
Mhm.
like, separate you for a minute so that you can report.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
it does. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I was in the hospital for 2 nights after that, and
Mhm.
then we went home. I did have a complication with him where,
Yeah.
at first at C-sections in my practice, you have 2 follow-ups, 1 at 2 weeks and 1 at 6 weeks.
Mhm.
And after my 6-week follow-up, at, like, 8 weeks, I was still bleeding,
I remember that.
and so I wrote in and I said, "This doesn't seem normal. You said that you thought it would stop." And so I went in after that for a sonogram, and they realized that some of the placenta was still lodged in my uterus, and so I did
Mhm.
have to go in after that for a, like, outpatient DNC,
Yeah.
and a few days after that procedure, I stopped bleeding.
Yeah. It's so interesting because that can turn really serious if it's not addressed.
I The way that my doctor explained it to me, she said it was extremely rare,
Mhm.
especially with a C-section because they
Right.
do have your uterus cut open, and so she could see everything, and so she said, "This is not something that normally happens. This is extremely rare, but the good news is we have a straightforward way to take care of this."
Mhm.
So I am happy that I spoke up.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, because it can
Yeah,
get infected and other serious things can happen.
exactly. Yeah, it's definitely very rare. And I remember when you told me, I was really surprised, especially like you said, because of you had a C-section. So like
Yeah,
they can see usually what's going on. Thank goodness you caught it.
agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. How was the C-section recovery for you other than the complication of the placenta being left? What was, you said that you didn't really know much about C-sections at all.
Yeah,
And so then not only are you having a C-section, but you're having an emergency C-section where you hadn't done
right,
any preparation or reading on it or anything. And so what
right.
was that like for you?
Well, my husband and I both are extremely type A, and we like to research. We like to know what to expect, right?
Mhm.
And so going into it with the one thing that was not the plan becoming the plan, obviously that
Yeah.
was hard. My doctor gave me a belly band,
Uh-huh.
which was the number one thing that helped me with my recovery.
Mhm.
And when I talk to other people who have C-sections whether they're emergency or planned or unplanned, it's my number one recommendation.
Yeah.
The way that I felt the days immediately following the surgery were I just felt like my guts were gonna fall out
Yeah. It
for
makes sense.
yeah, and so the belly band just helped give me stability, and it formed a barrier between me and other things because there was just this fear that somebody might kick me or touch
Right.
me in the stomach and it would hurt,
Right.
and it made that fear go away.
Yeah.
From a recovery standpoint, the hardest thing physically was getting in and out of the bed.
Mhm.
'Cause in the hospital, they have the little button where you can, like, lower yourself and raise yourself, but when you get home, you have to figure out how to do that yourself. So that was a challenge that I had to overcome.
Yeah.
The belly band also helped with that because it
Mhm.
just made it so that I could roll a little bit easier.
Mhm.
I think the other tough thing mentally was I definitely had some cabin fever
Yeah.
after he was born,
Yeah.
and, because you can't lift anything we haven't said that. You can't lift
Right.
anything after you have a C-section. You're not supposed
Yeah.
to lift anything, other than your child. I remember Doctor Serrano saying you were not allowed to pick up your laundry basket and do any
Right.
type of laundry.
Right. Or the car seat. Can't
Um,
pick up the car seat.
can't pick up the car seat. So it was hard to figure out how to leave the house.
Yeah.
For the first 2 weeks, you're not allowed to drive.
Yeah.
But then after that, I was allowed to drive, I was recovering, I felt a little bit better, I could move a little bit better,
Mhm.
but I just didn't know how to get out of the house with the baby. I remember my first outing, I went to Walgreens and I bought some Sour Punch straws, like a
Oh,
jumbo pack,
yum. I love those.
and I drove to my parents were building a new house at the time, and I drove to the lot and I blared Taylor Swift and I ate my Sour Punch straws by myself,
It sounds
and
lovely.
it was great. It was great just to be by myself and be doing something that was just for me for just a
Yes.
minute, right?
Yes. Yes. I just said in my sister-in-law Abby's episode that I
Yeah,
remember just so distinctly just being obviously so happy that this baby was part of my life now, but
yeah,
so desperately wanting to do something unrelated to the baby.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt. I
Yeah.
think so that was my number one mental struggle. I think once I was able to figure out how to get out and about, the other thing that happened that was unexpected for me was just feeling guilty about the fact that I had had a C-section
Mm,
based on comments from other women that would ask me how things had gone.
mm,
I do think in postpartum, you're extremely
mhm.
hormonal. I think I read into it a little bit more
Yeah.
than I should have. But when like other people have C-sections, the number thing one thing that I always tell them is just there's more than one way to get a baby out, and
Yes.
it's so great that your baby got safely out. You don't need to
Yes.
feel bad about this at all.
No. Thank God for modern
So
medicine.
agreed, agreed. And it was amazing afterward how many stories I heard
Mm,
of people who had had C-sections that I had no idea
mhm.
about before, and one thing that was a huge blessing in my situation was my C-section was not planned, but it was also not an emergency,
That's
right?
true. That's true.
I had not been in labor for that long.
Baby was not in
My
distress.
baby was not in distress. He was just stuck,
Yeah.
and it was the safest way to get him out.
Yeah.
The stories that I heard about people being in labor for 3 days and
Yeah.
having to recover both ways, I'm thankful I didn't have to go through that.
Did the doctor had she ever experienced like, seen something like that with, like, your body reversing? Like, that's gotta be pretty unusual. And the nurse too, since she had a lot of experience. I'm wondering if either of them had ever seen that.
My doctor said that she had had 2 other patients where the baby got stuck
Mhm.
in her entire career, and I don't
Wow.
remember the exact amount of time that she had been delivering babies, but it was significant. It was over 20
A long
years.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what happened to me was extremely rare.
Yeah. And is there anything like, did she recommend, was there any concern about it with subsequent pregnancies, like of the same kind of like situation, and is there anything you can do, like chiropractic care or like any sort of physical stuff you can do leading up to pregnancy to, try to avoid
Mhm.
it?
One thing that happened between my firstborn and my secondborn is that my OB actually stopped delivering babies.
Okay.
And this is in our practice is like a common thing for a doctor to do before they wanna retire, but just
Mhm.
when they kinda wanna take a step back.
Mhm.
And so they still will do, routine care, they'll do your annual checkup, but they don't deliver babies anymore.
Okay.
And so when I got pregnant with Harris, I told her, and I had my first visit with her, and we talked about who I should switch to.
Mhm.
And in that visit, her and I talked about the different options, and I never asked the specific question, like, "Do you think the same thing would happen again?" I
Yeah.
believe that the answer is no, though, because it was just a combination of factors.
Yeah.
We talked about VBAC as an option, and we talked
I was gonna
about
ask that.
the risks of that, and then we talked about repeat C-sections and kind of what you need to know about that,
Mhm.
and we ended up deciding which doctor I was gonna go to because she spoke really highly of him and his bedside manner, but he was also a very, very gifted surgeon,
Mm.
and so then I started going to him for my checkups, and for me, the risks associated with VBAC, even though they are extremely small,
Mhm.
just were not worth it, and I liked the idea of a repeat C-section, and so that was
Yeah.
what him and I decided to do.
Everyone has a different threshold for risk, you
Right.
know? When
Yeah.
do you remember what some of the potential risks were that they told you?
The biggest risk is uterine rupture,
Right.
and I do not remember the percentage of people that it impacts, but it is
Mhm.
extremely small. It's
It
like
is,
less
yeah.
it's way less than 1%.
Yeah.
But the doctor who I switched to is extremely conservative and risk averse,
Mhm.
and I, again, was very blessed with a good relationship with him and felt the same way,
Yeah.
and because I had already done it once, right, let's remember Davis's type A personality, it was attractive to me to do something that I had already done before.
Yeah. It felt more
Yeah,
comfortable for you.
100%.
Did they talk to you at all too about how many babies you ultimately wanted to have? Because I do know that
Yes.
there also
Yes.
is some level of risk when you have, I think, more than 3 C-sections. Is that what it is?
Yes. Both Dr. Serrano and my second doctor, Dr. McDonough, said if you have a repeat C-section, we do not recommend having more than 3. And so that I come from a big family.
Mhm.
That was something that Nathan and I talked a lot about.
Mhm.
They both said that they had had patients who have had more C-sections than 3, but
Mhm.
that with each subsequent one, the risk just continues to go up.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a factor in the decision.
That's good. That's good that
Yeah.
they brought that. Yeah. Well, okay. So
Okay.
you've decided that you're gonna have a second C-section. You're pregnant with your second
Right.
boy.
I'm pregnant with my second boy. My 2 boys are 21 months apart,
Yeah,
so
they were
I
pretty close.
had a baby at home still.
Yes.
And
Did they recommend waiting a certain amount of time knowing that you were gonna have yeah,
yes, they recommended waiting at least a year after
okay.
the C-section to start trying again.
Mhm,
And with our first, it had taken us a few months to get
mhm.
pregnant. And so I definitely don't think I would classify us as ready to get pregnant with the second, quote unquote. I'm using my air fingers again. When we started trying, but we both just thought that it was going to take about the same amount of time.
Mhm.
It did not. So
Classic.
we found out we were pregnant very shortly after his first birthday.
Yeah, I remember that.
And yep. So went to Dr. Serrano, talked to her about it, got referred to a different physician, and started going to him, scheduled the C-section.
Mhm.
You can like, in my practice, you can schedule the date pretty early on, and
You
again,
can
I
pick your
did not
birthday.
you can,
Yeah,
yeah. So I got to pick August 1st for Harris's birthday.
it's a lovely day.
I, again, felt very strongly that I did not wanna deliver too early.
Yeah.
I wanted to give him as long to cook in there as he needed,
Mhm.
and so we ended up choosing a date that was, like, a couple of days before my due date.
Mhm.
And pregnancy, again, I was really blessed, was not very hard. I was very tired again. The only difference this time was, though, I had a toddler,
Yeah.
and so I couldn't sleep as much. I couldn't sleep nearly as much.
Yes. Those
And
daytime naps
so
really get reduced.
yep, a lot. And so what would happen was when I would be really tired and I couldn't take a nap, I did end up getting sick a few times, but it
Mhm.
was never catastrophic. It was fine.
Yeah.
I never had any Braxton Hicks, I never had any contractions, I never had anything like that,
Did they talk to
and
you about what would happen, like, what the plan was if you did go into labor naturally before your C-section?
yes, yes, and one thing that me and my doctor had talked about was that if I went into labor on my own and it was progressing at a certain rate, we would try
Mhm.
VBAC. That's what we
Okay,
said,
okay.
but I did not go into labor on my own,
Yeah.
and so the night before my surgery, I went out to a really big fancy dinner with my entire family and my
Mhm.
husband.
That's fun.
And yeah, we celebrated and ate really good food, and everybody guessed at the stats, like how much he was gonna weigh and how long he would be.
Because
And,
Robert was pretty big, right? Robert was almost 10 pounds?
no, Robert was
No?
8'11".
Okay, but Harris was yes.
Harris was very big.
Yes.
We're getting ahead of
I'm
ourselves.
sorry, yes.
So no, it's okay. So, but we did it is funny that we took bets on his weight and nobody was anywhere close to it
Yes.
because we were basing it off of my weight and Nathan's birth weight
Yeah.
and gestational age because Robert was a week late. No, 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 no.
No.
So the next morning after the big dinner, we go in. We had to get there at 6, which is when the women's center opens.
Uh-huh.
They had given me these hygienic wipes to use
Uh-huh. Yeah.
before surgery to, like, eliminate germs, so I had to do those at home the
Mhm.
night before, and then I had to do them again that morning when we got there. So we got there at 6, we were in, like, a little pre-op room filling out paperwork and doing the wipes for 45 minutes, and then, they wheeled me into surgery around 7,
Mhm.
and he was born about 15 minutes later.
Wow.
So, I do C-section recovery is no joke,
Yeah.
and I think that, you've got to assess your options for your situation, but
Mhm.
logistically, a repeat C-section that's
Yeah.
scheduled, whew, man. So, yeah, went into surgery. I do remember so my doctor now, his name's Doctor McDonough. He is an extremely even keel, soft-spoken man,
Mhm.
and during my surgery, it was the same situation, right? The sheet's up, Nathan's here, my friend Melissa is here,
Uh-huh.
'cause she was with me for the second one too. Gosh,
Yeah.
she is such an angel.
Yeah.
And we had music playing, and when he did talk me through it the second time. I remember that better. Like, he
Yeah.
said, "Okay, I'm making the incision.
You're
Here's what I'm
probably
doing
less
now."
overwhelmed the second time around,
Oh,
remember more details.
100%, 100%.
Do you remember what music
But
was playing?
God, I don't. I knew you were
Yeah.
gonna ask me that. I have it written down somewhere, and I tried to look for it this morning,
Yeah,
but I couldn't find it.
that's okay.
But when he pulled him out, he audibly gasped. Like, this soft-spoken, quiet man said, and I said, "Doctor McDonough, is everything okay?"
Say more.
And he said, "Yes, we have a healthy baby boy. He's just a lot bigger than I was expecting."
You were hiding a lot of baby in that belly.
Yeah. He was 9.5 pounds.
Wow.
So, that was unexpected because I did not have any of the complications that you normally have when you have a large infant.
And you didn't really look very different,
I
than
didn't.
your first pregnancy.
I carried both of my boys the same.
Yeah.
So, it was just a little bit of a surprise that he was so big, but same situation. Nathan walks over, they do the APGAR score, they
Yeah.
cut the cord, they do all that. When you have a baby that's over a certain amount, though, it
Uh-huh.
does change the procedure in the hospital, and they were
Really?
very worried about his glucose levels.
Someone actually just told me this today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, from the beginning, they were very concerned about making sure that his glucose levels stayed above a certain amount,
Mm.
and I have this video of him right after he was born. So, Nathan goes with him to the nursery, they set me up, they take me to recovery.
Yeah.
I knew that I did not want to try to breastfeed in recovery because that the first situation had stuck with me so
Mhm.
much. So they
Yeah.
did bring the baby to me, but I did not try to
You
breastfeed
just did
yet.
skin to skin or
We just did skin to skin and
mhm.
just hung out. But so I have this video of when they were sewing me up where they are feeding him formula from like a little cup and he is
Wow.
drinking it. And I mean, he looks like he is a month old
And
because he was
he
that big.
and he's, like, minutes old.
Mhm, mhm,
Wow.
and my mom, whenever somebody asks her about Harris's birth, and every year on his birthday, she likes to circulate the video because she's the one who took it.
You have to send it to me. I don't think I've seen it.
I will send it to you right after
Yes.
this. But
Oh.
so, because of that, at certain intervals, they had to check his glucose levels by
Yeah.
pricking his heel,
Yeah.
and he failed. And it was like there was a certain threshold where if he failed a certain number of times in a row,
Yeah.
they were gonna have to take him to the NICU,
Hmm.
and
Were they too high or too low?
too low.
Too low. Okay.
But so, I get out of recovery, I go to the room, I start breastfeeding, my milk, like, was coming or it was, what's that stuff called?
Um, liquid gold, colostrum.
Colostrum. So the colostrum was coming in, he was eating, we were supplementing with the formula to make sure that his glucose levels stayed high. He was
Mhm.
really thriving the first
Yeah.
day and that night, and then the second day the lactation consultant came in, he was eating really well, it was going great,
And y
and that afternoon, he started failing his glucose tests,
huh.
and it was like if he failed, like, 4 or 5 in a row, that they were gonna have to send him to the NICU, and he failed 3,
Mm.
and then on the 4th one, I had the shift change had just happened, and it was a new nurse who was a little bit older, like that veteran type feel.
Right.
And she did it and he failed. And she
Mm.
said, "You know what? Sometimes they fail if their little heel isn't warm enough." And so she said, "I'm gonna try one more time because we don't want this baby to go to the NICU." And
Right. You don't wanna be
uh,
separated.
no, I did not wanna be separated. I did not wanna have to stop breastfeeding.
Mhm.
He was thriving. The
Right.
pediatrician, like, was giving him good reports. His weight was already going back up
Wow.
towards birth weight. But that was the rule that if he failed 5, he had to go, and so she redid it, and he didn't fail, and I
Wow.
learned that if you're cold, then that can affect your glucose reading,
That's such a
and
good tip.
so right, and so for the next every subsequent one, I was like,
Yeah.
"Nope, I'm rubbing his heel,
I
hold
was gonna say,
on."
how did you warm it up? Yeah, did you rub his little heel?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think that was definitely a learning experience with the
Yeah.
second one
Yes.
post-surgery.
That's something that I feel
Mm,
like people don't talk about a lot. You obviously hear a lot about the risks of babies who are born small or early.
mhm.
And until today, it's funny, this happened twice in one day. I was talking to just a friend earlier. I had never heard of the concern about a baby who was too big unless they had been diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And then obviously there are concerns. But I until today, I'd never heard someone talk about concerns with just a baby born seemingly healthy but just large and what that entailed.
Yeah, every single nurse, every single, like, doctor that came into the room asked me if I had had gestational diabetes,
Yeah, because you did
and I
not look
didn't.
big at all. Yeah,
No, I didn't, and yeah, I never had it, and so
yeah,
I learned a lot, but I'm very thankful that I had that nurse, and he
mhm,
didn't end up having to go to the NICU because I think that would have been a struggle. The recovery the second time was easier in the hospital because I knew what to expect.
yeah,
Obviously, when I got home and I had my toddler there were some challenges with that because you
mhm,
can't lift anything, so I could not pick him up.
and he was still so little, and he doesn't really understand.
Right, I will say About 6 weeks before I was due with Harris, I stopped picking him up completely.
Mm,
And I think that that helped a lot because
yeah.
it made it so that he was used to it and it wasn't as much of a shock.
And
And I
maybe he
would
didn't
just
associate it with the baby as much.
right. I do think he got much closer with my husband during that time because my
Yeah.
husband would still pick him up.
Yeah.
But honestly, as much as that hurt my heart, it helped afterward because Nathan could see to Robert and I could just take care of the baby.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And so how many weeks post-op does that period last where you can't really lift anything?
you are not supposed to lift anything for 2 months.
2 months. Wow.
Yeah, so, again, though, like, going into it the second time knowing what to expect, it was so
Mhm.
much easier because I knew, "Alright, okay, if Nathan puts the car seat in the car, once I'm allowed to drive, then I can take the baby out to the car, and I can put the baby in the car seat,
Mhm.
and I can just get them out when we get wherever we're going.
Right.
I can have Nathan put the stroller outside in the morning so that when I wanna go for a walk, it's out there and I just carry the baby out to it."
Yes.
I knew how to get in and out of the bed. I knew that I needed 500 belly bands so that I didn't have to wash them as many times. I
Yes.
knew that I knew much more the
Yeah.
second time, and I think one other big blessing, I think, of having the C-section is that I just do feel so grateful that I've been able to give advice to so many other
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
have unplanned C-sections. My cousin ended up having an emergency C-section 2 weeks after Robert was born.
Mm.
And I was
Wow.
able to tell her, "Okay, it's only been a couple of weeks, but here's what I've learned. I'm gonna send you this stuff."
Mhm.
And that was so great that I was able to do that.
You have. I was going to say that, that you have, even though it wasn't necessarily what you wanted or had planned, I feel like you've really embraced being a source of knowledge and information and help for people who've had C-sections. I've seen you do it with
Yeah.
several friends, and one comes to mind specifically. I remember you were like, "I will send you all the links, everything you need,"
Mhm.
and I know people appreciate that, and so
Yeah.
it's a way to turn an experience that maybe wasn't initially positive into helping others.
100%, and a lot of people did that for me, and I'm really
Yeah.
grateful.
Yeah.
So, we can put some links in the show notes.
Yes, we should.
Love
Absolutely.
it.
We'll do a little virtual C-section package.
Love it.
Okay.
Great.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, so
so
now getting ready for baby number 3, and it's a
mhm.
girl.
We're
Woo!
so excited. So excited.
I still really can't believe it.
I know. And you know what's crazy is when this episode comes out, she'll be here.
I know. I know.
Wow.
I can't
Wow.
wait.
Me neither.
It's gonna be great. I
It
have
is.
had a couple contractions this time, which is very
Really?
different, yes.
And you're 39 weeks. Okay.
I'm 39 weeks. I think, being pregnant around Christmas time, you're on your feet
Mm.
a lot more.
Mhm, mm.
Never, like, in a row. They've never hurt,
But you've
but
had some
I have
tightening.
felt the tightening a little more. So
Interesting.
it's just interesting that that's happening the 3rd time when it's never happened before.
And you said little lady is measuring a little big?
Yes, so at
Okay.
my 34-week growth ultrasound, they said she was measuring at 7 pounds, but it's about a 20% margin
Yes.
of error,
Exactly.
right? So how much faith can we put in
Mhm.
that?
Mhm.
I don't know.
We'll know soon.
We will know soon. I think we are gonna do another big family dinner the night before she comes.
I love that so much. I love that, like, creating the idea of creating a fun tradition,
Yeah.
you know, like you said, I think for like, there's some stigma around C-section, but I love that you've created this fun tradition that celebrates it
Yeah,
and, like, found positive ways to embrace the aspects of C-section, like the fact that it's planned. And
right.
so, and you can go have this fabulous last dinner
You can have the
with people,
last dinner.
all your people around you and
Right.
have, like, a little celebration.
Yeah,
I
and I
just
mean,
love that.
the other great thing about a C-section is that you know that your doctor's gonna be there and the hospital is gonna have all the staff ready
Mhm.
for you because it's scheduled.
Yeah,
Isn't that great?
it is.
This is all though just assuming that I don't go into labor on my own. My doctor has reminded me several times that that is still a possibility,
Yes.
and I
Every
have been
birth is different.
I've been looking out for the signs. I would be so shocked if that happens, but
You better knock
you
on some
never
wood
know.
somewhere.
Knock on some wood. I will say, I don't know if it's because she's a girl or because I'm just older.
Mhm.
I have definitely been carrying her significantly lower than my other pregnancies.
I noticed
She is,
that when I
like,
saw you
down.
recently. Yeah. You're definitely carrying
Yeah,
differently.
and I have a lot more space between my boobs and my belly, like, I can feel my ribs right now, which is
Yeah.
strange,
Yeah.
but
Maybe it's
yeah,
third baby. Maybe it's different, you
yeah.
never know.
Yeah, I think the symptoms this time have not been that different.
Mhm.
I definitely feel like she's taking all of my collagen. I feel like my
Yeah.
wrinkles are worse.
I know.
Sciatic nerve pain has been a lot worse, but I would attribute that a lot more to age than anything.
Yeah.
I am 36. You can edit that part out.
Just an old lady. I'm
And
just kidding.
yeah, the biggest difference has been just how low she is the whole time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see.
We'll find out soon.
We will. I
Oh,
love you so much,
I
Mare.
love you. Thank you so much for doing this. Before you go, can you please tell me 3 words that come to mind when you think about birth?
Yes. Humbling,
Mm,
just extremely. I think the second one would just be connecting. Like,
mm,
it puts you in this club that you start learning all these things about other women in your life that you had no idea about, and how
yeah.
awesome is that?
Yes.
And then I think my last one would just be, like, cool. Like,
Yeah.
how freaking cool that our bodies can grow a human and know what to do when it's
Yeah.
time for it to come out,
Yeah.
and know that milk needs to come in so that we could feed it. Like, the capabilities of the human body boggle the mind.
I completely agree. I love those 3 words.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for doing this. I love sharing your perspective, and I know everyone else will too.
Thanks. I love you so much, and I'm so happy I got to do it
Me
before the baby
too.
came.
I know, me too. All right. You've been listening to the Arrivals podcast. Until next time.